Welcome back to Cossy Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and transfer. Is going to be diving into the latest around the club. Jurrien Timber, there is an early indication that Timber could be coming back between February and March. That is early. That is very early. According to the estimations that we had of 1 year, 9 months, 12 months. I'm going to be diving into that. Could Jurrien Timber come back early? And of course, what that means to Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. And during that period of the time, we have a lot of games and a lot of intense fixtures. We'll be talking about Pedro Neto. According to Brian Taylor, Arsenal have now had 3 bids turned down for Pedro Neto, but they want to go back in 2024. They want a competitor. They want competition for Bukayo Saka, and Pedro Neto, not surprisingly, is the guy we want. Of course, we'll talk about Benjamin White, who is going to be earning 200,000. Should he sign the new deal? Should he agree with Arsenal to sign that new deal? 200,000 per week. Right, he's already earning 120,000 per week, so he's gonna be earning 200,000 if he gets that new deal done. And Calvin Phillips is wanted, plus Kieran Tierney is out for 3 months. What are injuries really doing to this Arsenal team and Arsenal players? So hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let's get this video to 300 likes. And guys, do you want Calvin Phillips? Like, just to be honest, right? It's not even. You don't need to tell me in the comment box below. Do you want Calvin Phillips? Don't answer, right? Just let me know. Do you want Calvin Phillips? Because personally, I kind of feel like he's dropped off from his days at Leeds United. It was kind of a gamble from Manchester City to buy him with that kind of injury, and he hasn't really come back fit. I don't know whether Pep Guardiola will actually turn him around, but I'm just not convinced about him anymore. I'm just not convinced. But of course, you can tell me, is he such a good player that Arsenal should do the gamble, or it's just about rumors and, that's the end of it. Right, let's start off with the big one. Jurrien Timber is expected to be coming back earlier than expected. Now, the first evaluations of the problem were actually, showing us 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, 12 months. And we were actually thinking about him never playing for Arsenal this season again. However, according to new reports, Jurrien Timber could make an early recovery, and he could be coming back between February and March. That is going to be the best we have seen from. That could be the best that we will have seen from, science. Like science and treatment of problems, science and treatment of players, from an estimated period of 1 year to just how many months will that be 7, right? Because it was that's August, September, October, November, December, January, and February. That will be from 1 year, which is 12 months, to 7 months. So you'll be coming back 5 months early. Now, I'm really skeptical about this story, and I'm really skeptical about these stories. Many of you have asked me about this on WhatsApp, on my phone as well, and I've told you that I would love him to come back sooner. I would love him to come back earlier. But is it possible? Yes, potentially it's possible. In science, there is always that margin, but the margin is small, right? And I don't think this story changes it. I think the margin is still small. It could come back early. He's expected to come back probably in March. But I don't expect him to come back in March, because when he comes back in March, that will be March, April, May, 3 months to the end of the campaign, and then Mikel Arteta rushes him. So I would expect that he comes back in March, gets the whole of April off, and probably plays 1 or 2 more fixtures, this campaign, as the campaign comes to the end, right? Now, I would love to play him against Man City away, second leg. I would love to play him against Liverpool at the Anfield, or even at the Emirates Stadium, second leg. And I would love to play him against Tottenham Hotspur at the White Hart Lane. But I don't think it is as plausible and easy as we make it sound. I don't think all these bloggers, all these websites are really giving us the truth, right? The truth is, there is a possibility, there's a small margin that it can come back early, but the bigger margin still remains, and the bigger margin is what they don't report about. The bigger margin is he will need enough time to heal, and after that, he will need some time in rehabilitation, mentally, and all that. And after that, he will need some time to train and after that he will need to get back to the conditions and the levels that we expect him to be at, especially Arsenal being a top side and us having top players Zinchenko, Saliba, and Gabriel. Don't just come back and get into the side because you're Timber. You come back, you work your ass off, and you get back into the side. So I would say, this is what I would say. Timber coming back early, possibility. Huge possibility. But the possibility that we see him play for Arsenal again, that is going to be a miracle. An absolute big miracle. And I would love that miracle to happen, but I'm not really deluded. I'm not really that gullible. I'll wait and see. I really wait and see. I want to see what comes out of there. But Jurrien Timber, if you want the update and if you want the positives, of course you can pick the positives. He's expected to come back early. There is a window. There is a world. There is a situation. There's a condition where he comes back early and he plays again this campaign for Arsenal. So let's wait and see what that actually is going to give us. Now, just a little update on Kieran Tierney before we get into the transfer news. Kieran Tierney has picked up a 3-month injury. It's gonna keep him out for 3 months, and he had started off very well because in the game he played against Atletico Bilbao. Real Sociedad had won 3-0, and I think he's one of the players that have had a very good start to the campaign, especially away from Arsenal on loan. He had gathered that kind of motivation and that kind of determination in Spain, but it's unlucky. It's really unlucky that he's going to be out for 3 months. And I really like Kieran Tierney. I really do. But my problem with Tierney is that consistency, injuries, and can he stay fit, right? So it's the same with Mikel. When he came in, he was a huge fan of Kieran Tierney. But you cannot have such an important player always out. You can't have such an important player never available. You've got to make a decision, and I think what Arsenal did is we made a decision and we said, you've got to go. You've got to go. You're not consistent enough. You're very inconsistent. So it's gonna be out for 3 months, and by the time we are hoping by the time he's back, he can actually play some good football for Real Sociedad. And probably by that time, Real Sociedad will not be in the UEFA Champions League anymore. They could be, they could be out of it. But it's sad, really sad. Okay, let's get into some of the transfer talk before I get dissolved in injuries. Let's start off with the Ben White one. It's not a transfer really. It's not a transfer story. But Ben White is going to be earning an increment of around £80,000 per week. So he's already earning 120,000. There's a huge possibility, and the region of his salary is going to be between 200,000 and above. This is top bins from Arsenal. This is absolutely top bins from Arsenal, because what we have seen with Arsenal in the past is there was a price selling, at which we could buy a player, and there was also a salary cap. There was also a salary selling, and probably that helped the club stay afloat. That helped us in making sure that we don't spend more than we earn, and that also helped us make sure that we don't spend more than the team had, or potentially what we could get in terms of assists and all that. But now Arsenal have just made drastic changes. We have just made drastic changes to the amount of money we can buy players for and the amount of money we can pay them. I tell you, Ben White is worth 50 million, 55, around there. And when I look at Ben White, I get the picture of Rob Holding. Arsenal bought Rob Holding at less than 5 million. And that was that has been a centre-back at Arsenal at a very long time. Within a very short period of time, Ben is 50 million, earning 120. That is above the salary cap, the old salary cap, by the way, which was 100. And now he's going to be earning 200. And we're going to have about 10 players earning 200,000. Odegaard is going to be earning 200, Ben 200, Saliba 200, Odegaard above 200, of course, Saka above 200, and the likes of Declan Rice as well. Jesus, they're all above 100, right? So it's interesting. It's really interesting how Arsenal have committed funds and committed determination to this project and to this team. And I really hope that the Cronkies can get something out of it, like a league title and a Champions League. Like, it will be very good to redefine and rewrite history under the Cronkies, because we've given them a lot of stake that they deserve. No question about that. They deserve it. But if they can turn things around, especially in terms of silverware, because they've done so much right. They've got so much right in the past 5 years now, right? Okay, 3.5 years. They've got so much right. Rebuilding the midfield, rebuilding the attack, and rebuilding the defense, and bringing a new manager, and bringing in footballing people, footballing minds that understand the game in Edu, Mikel Arteta. And now Vinay Venkatesham is going to step down in the summer. We expect a footballing mind to step up in that position as well. So you could have around 10 footballing men in our Arsenal, and it will be incredibly genius, right? If you ask me, who do I want to replace Vinay, at Arsenal as probably CEO, I would go Arsene Wenger. I want Arsene Wenger to be head of management at Arsenal because it's a football club that is built and he understands football. I don't think anyone understands Arsenal better, and I don't think anyone understands football better than Arsene Wenger. I could be wrong, but that's an opinion. That's my opinion. Right, let's talk about incomings now, right? Let's talk about incomings. Now, according to Ryan Taylor this morning, Arsenal have already had 3 attempts turned down to sign Pedro Neto. However, Arsenal will not give up and they will now try to sign him on another occasion, on another attempt in 2024. He's seen as a player that can back up Gabriel Martinelli, Leandro Trossard, but also give that kind of competition to Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side. So, you remember when we tried to sign Rafinha, that was last summer but one, okay? Pedro Neto was nearly joining Arsenal. We made bids, but the bids were turned down. And there are 2 questions why, there were 2 questions on that deal. Why were Arsenal going in very late? And 2, the player had a very long-term contract. Wolverhampton Wanderers were not willing to sell, and Arsenal were not willing to overpay. Now, as time goes on, that was in 2022. The summer of 2023 has seen Arsenal just jump over that phase of signing a right winger or a winger in general. And then the summer of 2024 will come at a time where Pedro Neto's contract has substantially subsidized 3 years of it, right? 3 years off, he might have around 3 years to go or 2.5 years to go. So that means that Arsenal can go back to Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are actually in a much better state to sell rather than they were in a couple of years ago, and tell them, we have 45 million for Pedro Neto. Will you cash in? And I think they will cash in, right? They've done a lot of cashing in this summer with Neves going, with their strike as well going to Fulham. And I thought maybe that would have been a window to, sneak in and steal a player from them. But Pedro Neto, I really, really do. He's one of the explosive players in the Premier League. He's one of the players that have actually lit up the Premier League so far with his brilliance. This campaign, I think Wolverhampton Wanderers have scored around 7 goals. And this guy has been involved directly in all the 7 goals. So he has assisted around 5 and he has scored 2 himself this campaign. That is special. That is special. And I don't think there is a question from anyone who is actually a footballing mind about the quality, ability, talent, and future and ceiling of Pedro Neto. The question is about consistency. Can he stay fit? At the moment, the answers, according to the evidence and the data we have, no. And we trust the data. We've got to trust the data because if you're playing 12 games out of 33, if you're playing 20 games out of 38, in a team that doesn't have UCL, in a team that doesn't have Europa League, what if you're playing in the UCL? What if you're playing in the Europa League, right? Are you going to stay fit? But I like Pedro Neto, I really, really do. And if Arsenal can get him for anything below 50 million, get him in. Explosive, talented, entertaining, and he can play where Saka plays very well because what we've seen under Gary O'Neill, he's actually shifted him from the left-hand side where he was kind of, struggling, where he was playing that kind of Marcus Rashford role, to the Bukayo Saka role. And he's now become more inverted. He's become more inverted like Saka, and I think he's actually doing very, very well. So I'd love your thoughts and opinions on Pedro Neto. Good signing, bad signing, should we spend our money there? Obviously, allows us to rotate Saka, but Moussa Diaby, right, would have been better in that regard. Younger, exciting, and all that. But Neto, Premier League proven, injury prone, Your thoughts on the price, your thoughts on the signing in general. And now, look, another signing that Arsenal are looking at, another player that Arsenal are looking at is Calvin Phillips. So there is interest from Arsenal in Calvin Phillips, and I'm going to leave it at that. It's just interest. Now, this is a player that has a big job at Man City, and that big job is to step up when Rodri is not around. That big job is to step up to fill the gaps that Rodri leaves. And I think he's not done that at any point in time this campaign and the campaigns before. I don't think he's done it. I don't think he's at the level. So if you're bringing in Calvin Phillips to deputize Rice, because Partey will eventually leave, Jorginho will eventually leave. These guys are in the 30s, right? So if those two leave and you bring in Calvin Phillips, who has failed at Man City, well, I'm skeptical. And I've got to be skeptical. I'm skeptical about how good he is actually, right? Now, there are no questions about the form he was with Leeds United and the Euros for England, the past Euros. But is he still there? Can he start for England right now? Can he start for England in the coming Euros? I don't think so. Pep Guardiola has complained about him and his weight. Has he worked on that? Probably. Has he worked on his overall game ever since signing for Man City? Has he worked hard enough to get to the levels of Rodri, Rice, and Partey? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Hit that button for me. Subscribe to the podcast as well. I'll speak to you right in the next one. See you in a bit.